Hey everybody, welcome to episode 3 of Inside EPL. I am Jerry Lynch, joined by my co-host Rowan Brennan. Rowan, how's things?
I'm very well. How are you?
I'm very, very good. I'm very, very good.
Episode 3.
I know, yeah. Who would have thought?
We're still here.
No.
Great.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Just about hanging in there. And everyone that's watched the videos over the last 2 weeks, massive thanks for that and for subscribing and liking the videos. Really, really appreciate that.
Yeah.
We're moving into the final set of teams of the transfers for the Premier League for this season, but we're also going to get in some rule changes as well. We have a bonus episode coming out this week as well, where we're going to cover off our predicted league tables.
Yeah, why not? Give it a lash. I think it's going to be a pretty interesting league this year. I think it's pretty unpredictable, so I'm kind of curious to know what you've written down. I've no idea what Jerry has written. He has no idea what I've written, so I'm hoping that it's not too similar.
There was a lot of head scratching when we were doing these with a row of bottles of water blocking us from seeing the other person's homework.
Stop and copying and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, exactly. So I'm looking forward to seeing what you've got, actually.
I'm not confident about it at all.
You were saying that the entire way through writing
this
it as well.
Is garbage.
I don't like this. So yeah, we'll see.
Yeah, we will. So we're going to get into it. We'll fly through the transfer stuff because we are going to touch off on the transfers that have happened since we last spoke to everybody, as well as a couple of rumored ones that look like, according to Fabrizio Romano, in the know, ones that look like they're probably going to happen in the next 24 hours, 48-hour period. So so the transfer we've missed, some interesting ones on this. Raul Jimenez has left Wolverhampton Wanderers and he has joined Fulham for £5 million, 32 years of age.
Bit of a snip.
It's a this can fail fee, and no one will care.
This is like if it doesn't work out, no harm, no foul.
It's £5 million.
Yeah, it'll be a tough job replacing Mitrovic. I don't think he's gone quite yet, but I think given the furore,
there was a bit.
Well, he's threatened to never play again, and I think it is a bit crazy. I mean, Fulham still on the contract, and I mean, if he broke his leg, they'd still be tied to pay him all his wages. So I mean, I think he needs to honor that, but it's hard to kind of keep your nerve when you have a fat stack of cash waves in front of your face. So, but anyway, it's a problem they need to deal with, and it looks like they've probably tried to bring in Raul Jimenez to be a sub to start.
I think if Jimenez, he's 32, so he's not a
his best years are certainly behind him. His last 2 years have been pretty poor.
Well, a severe head injury, which seems to have derailed his career slightly in the last couple of years. Maybe a change of scenery will change that. Maybe a style of play change. Wolverhampton Wanderers just hemorrhaging players right now. Lopetegui not happy.
No, you sent me a link to
Guillaume Balaguer's interview.
An interview with Guillaume Balag, and he doesn't seem like a happy man with the way things are going at the moment. I mean, can I give a summary on what you saw in that video?
I saw a man talking as a man who's not expecting transfers. I saw a guy talking about doing the hard work in pre-season and focusing on what they can on the pitch, and it not being what he expected it to be. Promises appear to have been broken, but it's not so much a full of broken promises as opposed to financial fair play has clamped down around there.
You mean Wolves?
Yeah. Financial fair play has just grabbed hold of them now. So it's a case of what can they do in the wiggle room they've got over the 3-year period.
He didn't look happy.
Happy at all. No.
But we'll see what happens. Wolves, I think they're going to struggle next year, but we'll see where we both put them in our predicted league table.
Probably around the same spot, I'd imagine.
I think so too.
Luca Colliesho. Glad you
Colliesho.
Sorry,
I don't know. I could be wrong as well, but
he's gone from Espanyol to Burnley for an undisclosed fee.
I know nothing.
No.
About this player.
Burnley not doing a huge amount of business since they come back to the Premier League. I think they probably should have enough.
No,
I don't think they do either. Not yet anyway. And there's still people rumored that could leave there as well. Wilfred Zaha, in the most bizarre transfer of the window, that's not a Saudi related transfer, has gone to Galatasaray on a free transfer from Crystal Palace.
Speechless.
Why?
Speechless.
And don't say Champions League football because it's Galatasaray, so it's not really Champions League football.
No, $2.5 million signing on fee on $4 million a year, which is about 75 grand a week. I don't see what the motivation is here. Bit of better weather. He doesn't look like he needs hair implants anytime soon,
or teeth
implants.
Good dental work has got already.
So I'm shocked that someone else within the Premiership didn't put in a bid. Apparently Palace offered him a 4-year deal, wanted to keep him.
We'd imagine Palace would have offered him
75 grand
at
a week.
At least 75 grand a week.
Maybe now he's got the 75 grand a week with a 2 million signing on bonus, but even the 2 million, if you put that into wages,
or loyalty bonus,
you bump it up to 100 grand a week.
Yeah, stick a 2 million loyalty bonus on the back end.
Yeah. So I don't understand it, but He's gone off to Galatasaray, probably get himself a Turkish Super League medal, playing the Champions League. I don't know. Kind of. I don't get it, but
apparently there were no other offers on the table. I think somebody, I don't know who it was, said this during the week. I know this in another podcast, and it came up, and it was that maybe he expected to get a bigger offer that just didn't materialize in the end.
Yeah.
And that's caused some of the problem. But it's a bizarre move. It's a club I don't have any time for at all as a Leeds fan. That's why I can't stand them.
Yeah.
Bizarre move for me.
Very strange. Wish him all the best of luck.
Yeah,
but never really kicked on what his potential was within the league, and he seemed to be a pretty faithful Palace stalwart. There was already a lot of rumours going to Arsenal and going to other places to play in the left wing. But to be honest, I always thought he's a bit overrated, and it seems that the rest of the top teams in the league probably did too.
Overrated is a word I wouldn't use. I would have thought for where he was at Palace, probably one of their best players at Palace at a certain level. Maybe obviously wants to be we talk about this about the German stuff as well.
Yeah.
Wants to go off and win something. Maybe he guaranteed to win something there.
Yeah.
There wasn't maybe any interest from Germany, and unlike the rest of them, I'm sure there was some form of a Saudi offer on the table for a player like Zaha.
Yeah. They had to have
decided not to go there, which is admirable.
Yeah.
We've seen Jordan Henderson move to over to Al Efiak or the Steven Gerrard's side. So he's finally got someone who can speak English back to him.
Well, he's got 0 wins in 4 matches, so keep it up, Stevie.
Doing great, mate. Stay over there, please. Everyone has seen him linked with Leeds United again. Harvey Barnes has left Leicester City, and he is part of their mass exodus of players at the moment, and he has gone to Newcastle for in and around £39 million. Worth it?
No. No. I don't think so. Harvey Barnes, decent player, but we'll just say 40 million quid. Sam Maximin going to leave
15.
For 15 million quid. Does Harvey Barnes move the needle all that much? I don't think so. I mean, that's the guts at 80 million now they spent on Anthony Gordon and Harvey Barnes.
He does have goals in him as a wide player. And again, as a Leeds fan, he historically scores against Leeds nearly every single time. So I'm delighted to see him move back to the Premier League and stay away from us for a year. But I think if you're looking at a replacement for Maximum, probably does the same job, probably comes off the bench, makes an impact.
I don't see who he starts ahead of.
That's going to be an interesting one with Newcastle all up this year, because I saw a lot of Newcastle fans this week saying, can't wait to see Joe Willock back in action, looking forward to seeing him. We were talking about the fact that Joe Willock could probably be replaced by Tonali.
Yeah.
So I think how Newcastle line up on the first day of the season, and bearing in mind that's not the end of the transfer window, it's up until the end of August. So it's an interesting one.
With Isaac fully fit as well.
Will they start to play Isaac back through the middle though? He was bought initially as a striker, and they played him out as the wide to the 3.
Yeah, and did very well coming in. Callum Wilson, I don't think can be dropped.
Can you drop now?
Anthony, but I mean, maybe it's just a sign of where Newcastle are and where they're going, that they have 80 million quid's worth of 2 players on the bench.
Yeah,
with Anthony Gordon and Harvey Barnes. So maybe it's just a sign of things to come.
Champions League.
They're going to have a lot of games next season. So they're not going to be worse because of it. Is he a slight improvement on Maximin? Maybe. But yeah, a lot of money.
Never got the hype around St. Maximin.
He looked great.
But
then you looked at the stats and the numbers, you're like, kind of flattered to deceive.
Yeah.
But is Harvey Barnes a big improvement on that? Maybe. Is he 3 times the player? I don't know.
He's definitely a more direct player. And he's definitely probably more of a team player than St. Maximin, who'd like to do his own thing when he got on the park, which is nice to look at. But
he was the big boy in a struggling Newcastle team, and now that they've really improved themselves, I think Maximin was no longer fit for purpose. He's kind of a small fish in a big pond, as opposed to the opposite.
Yeah, and we did talk in episode 1 about Eddie Howe's impact on the team and what he liked, and clearly wants more structure there as well. Maybe Barnes fits that better, but that's wait and see. The big one this week, Moussa Diaby has gone from Bayer Leverkusen to Aston Villa for £55 million, which is a huge chunk of change.
Is that a record fee
for Villa? It's up there.
It has to be.
It's up there, and I don't know for a fact, but it's up there. Yeah. Up there.
It looks like a good player. Again, from the German league, which I'm always suspect in. 49 goals, I think, in 172 games. So it's like 1 goal in every 3.5 games. That's goals. That's without assists. I think he's clearly going to make an improvement to that team. They've got Tielemans now. Does McGinn get
Torres
dropped?
Is there as well.
They've got Pau Torres that's come in. My mate Jamie, big Villa fan, he's very excited about what they're going to be doing. Hopefully Ollie Watkins stays fit. I'd love to see Villa kind of back in and amongst the top half and pushing for Europe again, like they did last year. And I think this will kind of solidify their push for European places again next season. But I'm looking forward to seeing another German import, seeing how they do in the Premiership and if they can replicate the hype that they're bringing in. But, time will tell.
Keep saying it. Getting Monchi from Seville will probably be their biggest signing of the season, and he's bringing in some really good players.
Is the sporting director?
Yeah, making an impact already. They've got some serious players coming in, spending a huge chunk of change. They've got the money. They've got a good ownership. They've got plenty of money there.
Yeah.
They're starting to spend it now, and they've got European football. Aston Villa are a European team, in my opinion. They should always be in Europe. They've always been a top team. Historically, for me growing up, they've always been a top half, top six.
I agree. Always had good Irish representation when we had a good national team as well. So I always had a soft spot for Villa.
Yeah.
Apart from when they stopped us from winning the domestic treble in the Coca-Cola Cup back in the day. So thanks, Dean Saunders, and I think it was Viv Anderson maybe
battered us in the final of the Carabao Cup.
Really?
Coca-Cola Cup.
Oh yeah. So anyway, it's good to see them making big moves like this, and they kind of, with Steven Gerrard, it was always kind of, can they get into the top half of the table? But with Unai Emery, this kind of expenditure, Tielemans, Diaby, a big statement of intent from Villa, and I hope to see them do well.
Yeah,
I really do.
Yeah. Luton have finally started to move.
Okay.
Their opening games of the season have been switched to away matches. They've been pushed out because their ground isn't ready to make some serious upgrades on the stand.
Well, blocking Deirdre's living room window next to the turnstiles.
It actually looks like it's the other side of the pitch. The corporate stuff they've knocked down. It's like, well, the Premier League, your corporate stuff's not good enough.
People are going to be getting balls through the living room window into their supper, as they call it in the UK.
Dan Juma rocks up on the first week of Everton, strolls in someone's kitchen, gets up a ball.
I think so. I can't wait to see what Luton do next year.
Yeah.
There's probably very little, but I think
there's a little romance about it, though, isn't there?
There really is. I can't wait. I think it's great.
I grew up when I was a kid. Luton played on the plastic pitch. The old school hockey astro pitches.
I remember there was a lot of negativity about those pitches back in the day.
But as soon as they got rid of it, Luton got relegated.
Okay. So they knew how to make it work for them.
They were used to playing on it. Yeah. A founding member of the Premier League, but never actually played in it till now. So that's an interesting one. They made a move. Issa Kabui from Manchester City has come in on a season-long loan from their 21 side. And Marvelous Nakamba has come in from Aston Villa as well.
What a name.
Marvelous Nakamba has come in from Aston Villa as well. Villa were desperate to get him off their books. He's a decent player, but nothing outside of that. I don't think he adds. I don't think players that they brought in, those two specifically, they'll need to do more work. I don't think those two players are enough to move Luton anywhere outside of my personal opinion, the bottom two.
I think Luton are just going to enjoy the season ahead.
I hope they shock a bit.
Oh, yeah. I hope they do.
I love a bit of romance in football. I'd love to see them.
I mean, you get these odd first season bounces, but no, I think they're going to be absolutely scalded alive next season. But
then finally, the Matt Doherty European road trip has finished backwards started. Leaves Wolverhampton, goes to Spurs, leaves Spurs, goes to Atletico, doesn't really kick a ball in Madrid at all, and is now back at Wolves on a free transfer, looking like a very happy man in his profile photograph. He might actually get some game time at Wolves next season, given that everybody else is just leaving Wolves currently. So that's that one. Stuff that looks like it's probably going to happen this week. And it's interesting. We've talked a bit about Manchester United as well. Rasmus Højlund looks as if there's a bit of a tug of war starting to happen now.
Yeah.
60 million euro on the table for Manchester United, 50 million up front, 10 million in add-ons. Atalanta wants 70. They're
not going to get it. They're not going to get it. Højlund, it's just going back and forth. It's the same story circulating with a slightly different spin put on it every day from every other major outlet that I watch regularly. Terms between player and club agreed, which has been agreed for, I think, about a month at this stage. And Atalanta are just kind of digging their heels in a little bit. Yeah. But I think it'll be... United have done well on every transfer. They've gotten their player for below what the club has been asking for. They did it with Onana. They did it with Mount. I think they'll do it with Højlund. 60, 70 million on a player that it's not going to be leading the line for United next season.
It's potential.
Exactly. It's a scratch card.
Everyone's doing it. It's crazy money being spent on teenagers, because if you get it for seeing the way prices in the Premier League and Europe and Saudi kicking in now as well are going, teams are now looking at going, well, I can't now wait till his next move to see how he gets on in a bigger club. I have to go now. So you're paying, and then clubs know what you're doing. Atlanta aren't going to give you their best player for nothing.
Well, it's like angel investors. I mean, they'll back 10 companies, hoping one or two pay off, and that's it. But mind you, when you can't spend 700 million on 10 potentials. So we'll see how it goes. I hope they get him. He looks like a tidy player, but to be honest, if we're going to be blowing that kind of money on a striker, I'd rather just sell a few more of our Elangas and McTominays and stuff like that, which we'll touch on later, and just get Harry bloody Kane, please. But
does it look like it's going to happen?
I think there's a little bit of method to the madness. I think there will. I think they're going to get it.
Late.
Well, this Joe Lewis gentleman who it's just been revealed Spurs owner who
never
has
hear him mentioned, do you?
No, it's always Levy, but he's the one that has now cracked the whip with Levy, saying if Harry Kane is not signing, which he said he is not, that he must be sold. So this idea of Levy trying to negotiate over the course of the season to sell him, Joe Lewis is not having any of that. This is the same Joe Lewis that has just been
arrested.
Is it charged or arrested?
I think he was picked up somewhere. I think he's had to go somewhere.
He has to go back to the States because he's been accused of insider trading. For those of you who might not know that term, means getting inside information from the stock market, which is illegal, and which would be very unusual for people with a lot of money to receive that kind of information. But I think it's more of a case of don't get caught. And I think Joe may have. But we'll see. He's saying
I did
ridiculous.
Ask this question today. Ben Jacobs from CBS put it out on Twitter today, and I did ask Ben, if he is found guilty, does that then disqualify him under the owners and directors test to be an owner of a football club? And in which case then do Spurs need to sell the club?
And
I didn't get an answer. But
yeah,
the EFL changed their owners and directors test this year to include any kind of convictions. There are convictions that stop people from owning football clubs in the Premier League.
Okay.
I don't know if this would clarify that. Someone else did reply and say it doesn't affect Spurs. So maybe he's removed enough to be able to say, well, I'm not actually, what I've done doesn't actually impact the club.
Yeah.
But that will be a Premiership owner's decision to make.
Okay.
So we have to wait and see what happens with that one, but it's an interesting one.
Tasty. Welcome to the Premiership, Ange.
Oh yeah, just like that. Yeah,
it's nice for Ange Postecoglou. Yeah, by the way,
been arrested.
Cops involved, but yeah, we'll see how he gets on.
Cool. Fulham. Sorry, also should be said. Romano has said. I love the new terms. He said PSG are tugging at the player. Also, his representatives. My two favorite terms this transfer have been tugging and twerking. Players are now twerking for moves apparently. So that's.
It's an upgrade. It's up there with gazumped and all this. Yeah, these deals were gazumped. So the players being tugged by PSG.
Sky Sports.
Very kind of them.
Chatting of sports news on Sky Sports is
fantastic.
Twerking for a move.
Twerking and tugging.
Fulham have brought in a player, or look, they're going to bring in a player. Calvin Bassey looks like he's going to come in. Medical has been scheduled. €21 million move from Ajax. Liverpool, Romeo Lavia. 42 million up front with £2.5 million worth of add-ons. Has been rumored there's a medical has been set for that as well. It's not been confirmed yet, but they are lining up there.
Because they said no at 40, so they've upped it by 4, and Southampton are willing to.
They want 50, the box. So 45, including add-ons.
Yeah,
maybe halfway.
A whole new midfield.
It's brand new looking.
A brand new 3-man midfield.
Which when we get to our tables, which is why I think Liverpool won't be top 4 side next season, but I think there will be maybe the year after. I think it'll take a year to blend all these lots of players.
Interesting.
Don't think it's a bad side. It's not a bad move. I just think it'll take 12 months for this to gel.
That's a fair statement,
yeah. Forest have made their first moves because they bought everybody last year. They bought 3 different squads last season. They're obviously even on financial fair play as well. A couple have gone out the door.
Yeah.
But Ismail Jacobs looks like he's going to come in as well. Our talks are ongoing with the player. Left-hand side player. But nothing further than that. And Brighton have made a move and they've signed Igor Julio from Fiorentina. Centre back, 6'1", right?
A beast. This guy's a beast.
He's as wide as he is tall.
Yeah, he's a big boy.
Massive shoulders and neck on him. Very good defender.
Looks like a thickie. Yeah, he looks like a big boy. So yeah, let's see. How much?
70 million plus 3.
17. So 20 in total.
20 in total, which is a good move.
Okay.
Yeah. That's that one. And then we get into the main ones this week. So we're going to talk about West Ham, Bournemouth, Forest, and Everton. We'll get through them as quick as we can.
That completes the table then for us, doesn't it?
Done.
Yeah.
Bar than the newly promoted side, which we'll get into
another time.
See what they do, because a lot of them haven't made any moves yet.
Yeah.
And then we'll cover off rule changes to the Premier League, because there's been a couple that will impact how the Premier League is run this year, and a couple of decisions that have been made that probably shouldn't have been made.
Yeah, I think it's worth getting into, by the way, because I mean, a lot of times you'll see matches, you're like, why is that offside? What's going on here? And they'll always kind of revert back to a referee who's always on the side of the referee, regardless of how ridiculous the decision is. But I think it's worth going into some of these rule changes just to see what's ahead of these teams next season. We'll
start off with West Ham. They haven't spent their Declan Rice money just yet. Nobody's come in, but they have been linked with a ton of players. They've been linked with Alex Scott from Bristol City, very dynamic young midfielder. A lot of Premier League clubs are keeping an eye on him. Very well sought after in the Championship as well. Will be a very good player. Harry Maguire from Manchester United has been linked. as well as Scott McTominay for 40 million. We talked about that, whether Scott McTominay's worth 40 million or not.
Listen,
I don't know.
He is worth 35 million. I think there's just something about the 4 at the beginning that just makes people go,
Yeah.
But when you look at
exactly
what 40 million gets you these days, McTominay has been a very important player for, albeit a weaker United side than in the past, but he has been sorely missed by United performances, particularly when he was playing under Solskjaer. He has been ousted a little bit. Plays very well for Scotland, kind of in the Maguire mold, seems to do really well when the international jersey comes on. But I think 35 million is a very fair price for McTominay when you see the likes of Anthony Gordon going for 40 million and these kind of players. I know they're a little bit younger, but I think it would be a good move for him. I think it's good for Man United. I think it's good for West Ham. So we'll see. But
I think Maguire goes there and does really well as well.
Me too. A defensive-minded team. I think both of those players suit Moyes' style down to the ground. And they're going in for McTominay because they've put in a bid for Gallagher. It's been refused. Yeah. They've put in a bid for Paulinho, which has been refused. Yeah. But this is what happens when you do your business early and you've got pockets stacked with cash. Everyone goes, ooh, let us have a little bit of that, which is why I think United have been putting the brakes on a lot of their transfers while they get their big-ticket items out of the way.
You said this a couple weeks ago. About certain clubs bringing in the players they know they're going to need and then selling the players that they will ultimately be replacing. They haven't done that. They know.
Who,
clubs,
West Ham?
Yeah, clubs now know, well, you're missing a Declan Rice, you're missing your best defensive-minded midfielder who does a lot of defensive work.
Yeah.
It looks here to me like you're bringing in a couple of players to fill that gap as well. Pochettino said today that Conor Gallagher is absolutely part of his plans. However, you've got a theory behind that, and I'm likely to agree with you.
Yeah, he just wants to make sure the price stays nice and juicy. So yeah, no, we need him. Just as the way the Harry Maguire thing went. Oh no, he's still a very important part of the club, even though he's our captain and now 5th choice centre half. So I think Conor Gallagher is going to go. I don't see himself pushing himself.
I think it'll late though. I think it'll late in the window
into that time. Yeah, we'll see how it goes. But I mean, West Ham. Listen, they got 105 million for Rice, which was overpriced. I think everyone pretty much agrees on that. But when you've got a club like Arsenal that are willing to pay it and need it done early, I think West Ham knew they were going to get their pants pulled down a little bit on who they were going to replace. So we'll see what happens. But I hope McTominay and Maguire go there. So we'll see.
Yeah, well, for more money in your pockets as well to spend on big ticket items.
Yes, exactly.
Some less likely rumours along with West Ham. You're looking at, again, we mentioned Conor Gallagher being one, Paulinho being the other one, but Leon Goretzka was mentioned. I'm laughing. I shouldn't be laughing, but just Leon Goretzka's playing for Bayern Munich and is ranked as one of the best midfielders in the world of his current group. Age group. I just thought it'd be crazy.
Goretzka's a decent player. What are West Ham linked with Goretzka?
They were linked with him, I don't see that happen, but you never know. Money talks.
Honestly, I think that's his level if he goes to the Premiership. I do. What age is he now? He must be tipping 30.
I have no idea, but he's getting towards that stage. He has to be.
He's tipping 30, but he's a mid-table player at best, I think.
Yeah. 2 more outgoings on top of Declan Rice for West Ham. Musiaku, has gone to Besiktas for 2 million. And Manuel Lanzini has left on a free transfer.
Lanzini gone.
Always liked him. Always just thought he was just missing something to just push him from being a decent player to being a really, really good player.
Lanzini, he was how long was he there? Stalwart.
He's been there a long time now.
It's been a long time. Where's he gone?
Nowhere. Free transfer,
unattached.
You get picked up.
Well, best of luck.
Yeah, I always liked him. Tidy player. And again, coming back a couple of years ago, I think he was a player that Arsenal were heavily linked with at one point when he first went to West Ham. So that's sort of a very new looking West Ham side that we could be looking at. Across the board, the more I look at this and the more we do this, the more I look at teams going, it's going to be a huge amount of teams have a very different look come the start of the season than we saw at the end of last season.
Big time.
But more so than normal. Usually it's like mid-table teams restructure big time. Top 6 add 1 or 2, but everyone seems to be just getting rid of players.
There's no spring cleaning. It's like gutting the gaff and extensions.
It really is.
Ripping out everything. So I'm looking forward to seeing how I think some will work really well. I think it's going to be an unmitigated disaster for others. But you know, we'll see how it goes. I'm excited. I'm excited to see how it works.
Who doesn't love a car crash on TV?
It's great. It's great.
Move on to Bournemouth then. This is an interesting one. Brand new manager, Andoni Iraola, taking over Bournemouth, who I personally am a big fan of as a manager. Plays beautiful football. Was at Vallecano, had them punching way above their weight, got them promoted into La Liga, and then had them in the European qualifying spaces for a long time during the season.
Yeah.
Ironically, Leeds were then linked to them and made a move to get them when they started chasing March in January. And Vallecano took a dip. because the manager looked like he was heading off. So that happens,
a
unfortunately.
bit of distraction going on.
Yeah, happens. Does play a very, very nice brand of football. Bournemouth fans can look forward to something very similar to what Leeds had under Bielsa or what Brighton have under De Zerbi. He is a big fan of Bielsa and is one of his what they call his disciples. So basically played under him at Atletico Bilbao.
Great.
Taking an awful lot. But Bournemouth fan, I'd look forward to seeing the kind of football you're going to get under him. Inward though, the kind of players that are coming in, Hama Traore has come in from Sassuolo for, I have euro prices here, 25 million euro. What's that in real money?
20 million pounds.
There you go.
20 million pounds. Yeah, 23 years old.
Yeah.
Amad Diallo's brother.
I didn't know that.
Nor did I. Amad Diallo's brother, Ivory Coast. Central, he plays as a central midfielder, attacking midfielder. He can play in the left as well, and occasionally he can be a deep line midfielder in the 3. But seems to be, there's a bit of hype about him. He was on loan last year, 7 appearances, 0 goals. But I think it was kind of a few minutes here and there. I don't think he was a stalwart in that Bournemouth team. Good ball carrier, well-rounded, has a bit of a defense-minded. He's a bit of a jack of all trades. I think he's going to be a very welcome addition into that Bournemouth team. So see how he goes. But that's a sizable outlay for Bournemouth, 20 million quid for.
Need to do it.
They absolutely need to do it if they want to stay.
You're not bringing in a manager like Ariola and not giving him some cash to spend.
Yeah. I think he's going to be a decent addition. He seems to have done well at Sassuolo, but we saw how that went for Scamacca when he joined West Ham. So we'll see.
Again, we talked about Newcastle before about Almiron and Joe Linton. It took them 2-3 years, but then when they found their feet,
and you get the right manager, the right manager as well. And once you're in the right system with the right players around you, a lot of things need to align.
Yeah.
In order for you to have a good stab at the Premiership and whatever team you're in. So let's see how he goes.
Justin Kluivert from Roma, 11 million euro.
Yeah.
Was on loan last season at Valencia, you were saying to me?
Yeah, he's got a goals average of about 1 in 5, which isn't great as a striker. But he was on loan at Valencia last year. He got 8 goals in 29 games. So he's got an average of about 1 in 3, just over 1 in 3, 1 in 3.2. 24 years old, still young. Scoring goals at that level in La Liga you're looking at about 12, 13 goals a season at that rate. And I think it's a good buy for Bournemouth for under 10 million quid. You're getting a fellow that's scoring roughly 1 in 3 in his previous season. Is he in the ascendancy? Hopefully, if he gets a good attacking manager and he's got someone like Hama Traore behind him, it could be a marriage made in heaven. So we'll see how they go, but they certainly need goals.
They do. He does play wide as well. Sometimes he can come in again wide of a 3. Thing with him as well is there could just be a situation where the Premier League could suit him perfectly.
Yeah,
the style of play, very open, very fast paced. He is a fast player.
Yeah,
so that might suit him there as well. And then the last one they brought in so far is Milos Kerkez from Alkmaar. Has come in for 17 million.
You like this fella?
I do like this fella a lot. Milos Kerkez is has utility player. He's a very solid left back option, but he can play centre midfield as well. A lot of clubs looked at him last year as well. Then they stopped looking at him. I don't know why, but there was a lot of noise around him last year, and a lot of clubs who wanted to get hold of Kerkez, especially lower half clubs. He will suit Ariola's style of play. He may end up playing left back for him and be used as a bomb and kind of winger.
Yeah,
and they will commit players forward. But he's a good player. He's a good player to bring in. 17 million quid isn't a huge chunk of change. It is probably for Bournemouth.
It would be for Bournemouth. I mean, that's the guts of 50 million quid now and 3 players for them. I don't know if that's going to be the end of it for them. They might bring in more, but it's 3 solid signings, so we'll see how they go.
Their outgoings are minimal. Jefferson Lerma, who we talked about, we spoke about him last episode. Went to Palace.
That's it. Yeah.
Yep. And Jordan Zamora has been released. Released. So Udinese, sorry, free transfer.
Okay.
So gone. So that's that. Moving on to Nottingham Forest, who last season bought 3 squads essentially. They had the squad that got promoted.
Something like that.
They bought 20 odd players in the summer window, and then bought a stack more in January. Got the situation where players like Lewis O'Brien, who came in, they brought in, wasn't registered in the Premier League squad and went to the MLS on loan for half a season. And I was
about to say they were like the Chelsea, the bottom half of the table. Then I was like, so were Chelsea. They were the bottom half of the table.
I would say something about Forest, though. I have a huge amount of respect for Nottingham Forest fans, because when Steve Cook was under serious pressure last year to be fired, they have an owner who also owns Olympiacos, is known for being trigger happy when it comes to managers. The fans backed Steve Cook the entire season, and the owner just couldn't sack him.
Yeah.
He knew what would happen. So I have a huge amount of credit for Forest fans for sticking with a manager, especially during a time when it was really tricky and it could have gone either way from last season. It managed to stay in. Not huge amount of movement so far from them. They've been a little bit conservative. I do think there's probably a financial fair play reason for that because of the amount of bodies they brought in. Not from a fee perspective, but from a wage bill perspective. You're also looking at they don't have a shirt sponsor still. The revenue they're bringing in terms of marketing spent from outside of the country isn't huge. So, but again, still historically one of the biggest sides in England.
Yeah.
2 Champions Leagues.
2 Champions Leagues for sure.
Yeah.
So they're in what they've got. Anthony Elanga.
Anthony Elanga's coming from Manchester United, 17 million euro.
Delighted we got 17 million euro for him.
Really?
Yeah, he wasn't good enough for United, and to be honest, I think he's there was a lot of hope for him when he came through at United first when he broke through. But he was occupying that right hand side. He did a couple of bits where people got a little bit excited, as you do with young players coming through at your club. You want to give them the benefit of the doubt. But even with the Mason Greenwood carry on and things, opening up on that side of the pitch, Elanga still wasn't able to nail down a place, even with Anthony struggling and things like that. Sancho was getting shifted out there instead. So he was clearly not in the manager's plans. So listen, he's had 55 appearances for United. He's a Sweden international. It could be a decent deal for Forest. He might, get a few assists, 5 goals and 7 assists. I think it'd be kind of what they'd be hoping for. But good business for everyone involved in that deal, I think. Okay, who's after Elanga?
Chris, well, actually, I'm going to stay on Elanga.
Okay.
You could have a situation where you got Brennan Johnson on one side and Elanga on the other side. That's pretty attacking-minded, wide, two direct wingers as well. And could work really well for them.
I think so.
Chris Wood's been made permanent, was there on loan towards from Newcastle last season, did get injured and didn't do a huge amount there, to be fair.
Yeah.
£17 million fee to make that deal permanent.
Yeah.
So he's now a player. Chris Wood, a fit Chris Wood will get you in around 10 goals a season.
I mean, he's kind of got Mitrovic potential. We were chatting about this before we went on air, and his time at Newcastle kind of made a mess of his numbers.
Yeah, it did,
Because the year before at Burnley, he was getting 1 goal every 3 games.
Yeah.
For a Burnley side that wasn't exactly known for its attacking prowess, and very defensive-minded. So to be banging in 1 and 3 for Burnley is no easy feat. The year before he was in the Championship,
1 and 2.
1 and 2. Yeah. And Newcastle didn't quite work out for him for whatever reasons.
He's a limited enough player.
Sure.
I mean, if you play direct football, he's perfect for you, which is why I'm actually surprised Fulham haven't looked at Bryce Mitrovic with him.
Yeah.
Because they built their style around getting direct balls into him from wide areas. Wood fits that bill perfectly. But then if you've got likes of Elanga and Brennan Johnson coming in from wide areas, you're going to get a lot of crosses in the box. That's Chris Wood's bread and butter, crosses. Yep. So he could do very well next season.
That could be a potent front three.
Actually be I fancy leaving in my head here. I'm thinking,
you never know.
Need a second striker.
Could be a good sub.
Yeah, Anna has come in from Torino on a free transfer. Don't know a huge amount about the guy. And Lewis O'Brien has returned from his loan, but is not expected to stay. There's a lot of championship clubs keeping an eye on Lewis O'Brien as well. Good player, Lewis O'Brien. Surprised that they didn't keep him. Very tidy central midfielder. But he's back from his loan at DC United, where he was for the last 6 months, because they just didn't register.
He was with Wayne.
He was over with Wayne, and Matthias Klick, who from Leeds, went over there, doing very well, actually. He was doing really well over there. But he should. I mean, any player in the Premier League goes to the MLS, should kill him when they go over there.
Yeah, pretty much.
And he did. So,
good.
Coming back, outgoings, Sam Surridge has gone to Nashville. Speaking of the MLS, he's gone over to Nashville for €5 million, which I'm surprised at. Young player, young striker. I thought he would have gone to the Championship. There was a lot of Championship clubs linked to him, but he's gone off to the MLS very early in his career. He moved to the MLS.
It's a weird one, isn't it?
Young player.
Kind of packing it in really, and just going, I'm going to go to the States, and it's a lifestyle move in some ways, I think. But
Nashville's a nice place.
Listen, best of luck to him.
Tennessee. Cafu was gone on a free transfer. They've released him, not that Cafu, the other Cafu.
He's 60 at this stage, isn't he?
Did okay for them when he was there last year. Before the promotion season. And Jesse Lingard has left on a free transfer, no club, but has set up his own team.
J-Lings FC or something?
He's named him after himself. They say narcissism is dead.
This guy is the most deluded fella I've ever seen. I mean, you'd think there'd be an ounce of humility after his massive fall from grace. Yeah. And you could start thinking, is there a bit of the Dele Alli's about this? Absolutely not.
Other end of the scale.
Oh, like J, what is that? That's a celebration, isn't it? J-Lings or something. I don't know what it is. Has his aftershave line now. He's got his own football team. Been let go by Forest, which was supposed to.
I'm sure he'd be let go by his fragrance sponsor as well pretty soon.
I mean, the guy's got his head in the clouds.
That's
so,
crazy.
Listen,
but I saw the name of the team. I was like, he's named his team
J-Lings
after himself.
Like, come on.
Like, wow.
Listen, I think it perfectly sums up
See you later.
why his career went the way it did.
Up his own
Jaxie, it would seem. So listen, Jesse, I'll always remember the good times, but best of luck with Jailings. I don't think we'll be seeing you anytime in the leagues that we care about anytime soon.
That was the good day. That was one Saturday in February, wasn't it?
No, listen, FA Cup final.
His loan at West Ham.
FA Cup final goal, and he had a very good stint with West Ham. FA Cup final goal. So he'll always have that to his name, but I think he needs to get his head out of the clouds.
Got offered a very big contract by Forest when he went there, and it was money when he went to Forest, and I think you can see the pattern there. It's the form stopped when the money came in.
Well, hopefully Anthony Elanga has a look at what happened, Mr. Lingard, and realizes you're not going to last much longer at these clubs if you're not pulling your weight. So anyway, best of luck to him.
Cool. Last one then. We move on. Everton. Everton, who are about to move into a gorgeous new stadium. How long it'll be in the Premier League, it remains to be seen. They brought in Ahmad Danjuma, who was on loan last season at Spurs, has now gone on loan with a loan fee of €4.5 million, so that's about £4 million. And Ashley Young on a free transfer. That is it. They're heavily linked with Willie Gnonto from Leeds, although it doesn't look like it's going to happen. Leeds have 15 million up front, but Everton don't appear to have 15 million up front, which seems to be a sticking point as well. And Leeds might keep the player. That's not great in terms of incomings. On the outgoings, Moise Keane, who's pretty much been gone for most of the last 3 or 4 years anyway, Juventus, that deal has been made permanent to Juve for £30 million. How much of that was already given out in terms of loan fees over the last couple of years? Yeah. And what is left to come in?
Did they buy him for 30 million?
That's what the fee is, 30 million, yeah.
So they bought him and sold him for roughly 30 million quid.
And assuming you buy a player over a 5-year contract for 30 million, that 30 million is spread out over the 5-year contract. If he's gone back to Juventus for 3 or 4 years, then the chances are that money's just going back.
They've just done they've revoluted it back.
Literally written it off.
Yeah. So
okay.
I think Ashley Young to Everton, I think there's a usefulness there if they're in a relegation battle. I still think Ashley Young, regardless of what he can, I think he can play 45 dynamic minutes where he can be what he is, which is a fast, all action kind of player. I don't know whether he's got the puff in him to do it for 90 minutes, but his experience at leading young lads, I think he's gonna do a decent job at Everton. I think he's going to bring that wealth of experience and leadership. He was a leader at United, even though it was a team lacking in leaders at the time. I think he will be a useful addition.
Yep. 38
now. Yeah. Like the 37 or 38
has looked after himself. Considering the kind of player him and James Milner were at Villa at the exact same time. Both played out of wing. They were a very good Villa team actually at that stage, and they were both in that team. Both have seemed to look after themselves very, very well to play to that stage. So he's probably got a couple of years left in the Premier League, and he could probably do some MLS stuff for Saudi as well if he wanted to. At some point.
For sure. I think it's a decent signing, given where Everton are. I think Ashley Young will be useful.
Here's where the money starts to fall off for Everton, unfortunately. Ellis Sims goes to Coventry for €7 million, and then after that, it is frees and releases. It goes Andros Townsend free transfer, Yerry Mina free transfer, Tom Davies free transfer, Connor Cody end of loan, gone to Leicester, and is injured and is probably going to start the season for Leicester.
These were like kind of cemented pillars of that Everton
team. Ruben Vinagara has had his loan is finished. He come back. So if you look at Townsend, Mina, and Tom Davis,
like I'm shocked they haven't sold Jordan Pickford for 50 million quid.
He's the only reason they're still in the division. Not the only reason, but a big part.
He's a big reason why they're still in the Premiership.
Huge season last season.
He did so well towards the end of last season. I mean, I was horrified when United were linked with him. I still think he's a decent keeper. He's a good goalkeeper. I think he's at the top level. Probably not. I
don't think he's far off it though. If you look at the English goalkeepers and Nick Pope, you've got him as well. I think they're probably.
I think Nick Pope is going to. Yeah, if he has another season the way he did at Newcastle, I don't see how he keeps.
If you look though,
his spot in the England team, Pickford. I mean,
Pickford faces way more shots than Pope does, just based on their concession rate, goals conceded. And you look at the defensive positions they are in the league, he faces a hell of a lot more chances. So he's a lot busier goalkeeper. You put him with a bigger team who have a better defense in front of him, less chances. Maybe all of a sudden, but I'm shocked he's still there. I think
Pickford,
given that there's a lot of teams in the Premier League need a really good goalkeeper. You saw what Ramsdale when he moved to Arsenal, he had 2 relegations back to back. The Arsenal fans didn't want them because he had 2 relegations back to back.
That's
true. Look how good he's been for Arsenal since he's gone.
Right, but he's going nowhere. That Ramsdale kid, I really like him.
I think Pickford's on the same bracket. I think if Everton had a better defense, I think Pickford looked like a much better goalkeeper. For me, he's a very good goalkeeper. Also, should be said, Everton renewed the contract to Seamus Coleman as well, which is a little worrying when you're when it is Ashley Young and you're keeping Seamus Coleman as a first, maybe it's just a squad player. Maybe it's designed to help the younger players.
I think it is just want to keep some of that experience to try and transition some other people into the team. See.
Question on Danjuma for you.
Yeah.
I'm interested in your take on this. He was supposed to go to Everton in January last year.
Mm-hmm.
And it was all supposed to be done and dusted, all agreed. And then Spurs came sniffing. And he dropped Everton like a heartbeat and jumped on Spurs. Now he's been given the number 10 shirt and he's gone back to, he's at Everton now and he's delighted to be there. If you're an Everton fan, I'm assuming no one else is coming in, so you're just happy to see players coming in. But he turned you down in January. And now he's coming back because Spurs didn't want to make the move permanent.
Yeah, but I mean, you have to be reasonable about this. I mean, if Spurs and Everton are coming in for you, where are you going? Spurs.
Everton.
But to be honest, I mean, he only played a few games. I mean, was he going to be getting ahead of Harry Kane? No. Could he have had a better impact at Everton as opposed to going to Spurs? I mean, who was he going to get ahead of? Heung-min Son and Kane? Clearly not. So maybe he should have been a little bit braver and gone to Everton. Maybe he thought Kane was going to leave and he could take over that mantle. I don't know. But listen, he's where he should be. Everton need him. So we'll see. I mean, he's got a pretty decent goals to games ratio, 12 goals in 33 games for Villarreal. I think he scored 15 in nearly 50 games for Bournemouth. There's potential there. The kid can score goals. He can. So let's see what he does.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see. That's pretty much it. Tom Davies is one of the biggest surprises to me because Tom Davies looked a couple of years ago like he was going to be the next big team to come through the youth academy and push on for Everton. Now he's been released.
Yeah.
He's gone free transfer.
I remember when he first burst onto the scene, there was a lot of noise. I think so.
Or was that Cantwell? Was that Cantwell from Norwich? They're very similar. They both have long, blonde, curly hair.
Yeah.
Anyway, so that's the transfer stuff done and dusted now out of the way. Anything there really stand out to you? Anything special?
Nothing really. I mean, the Moussa Diaby move, I think, is the big ticket item for Villa. I'm really curious about how Villa are going to finish. I'm glad that Unai Emery is getting a second bite of the cherry. I think he was battered from pillar to post after his time at Arsenal, and then goes and wins the Sevilla Cup or the Villarreal Cup.
It's his now.
When he goes back to Spain and did very well there, and he seems to have gotten his second go at the Premiership and did miracles. Where did they finish when he took over? I think Villa were third.
When he took over Aston Villa, they were below Leeds and one spot above the relegation zone.
But in points.
From
the time he took over from the time he took over to the time they finished, they were third in the league.
Form guide wise, he was third in the league. Yeah, but he took them from, and again, I'll say this again, it was January.
Yeah,
right.
It wasn't October.
They were a place above the relegation zone.
Yeah,
and behind Leeds, who got relegated second from bottom, and Villa qualified for Europe.
I was raging because I had a bet with my mate Jamie. When Gerrard and they had all these new signings come in, and I said they will not finish in the top half, and he was like, "Okay, if they do, you have to wear a Villa jersey, and if they don't, I'll wear a United jersey and we'll go out and have a couple of pints." And
how did you get on the United jersey?
Listen, I thought this bet is an absolute shoe-in, but I needed Gerrard to stay in the job, so I couldn't have him do so bad. I was nearly too right in my bet, but then Gerrard leaves. They bring in. Great. A very, very good manager, and then the rest is history.
Again, I know we keep linking back to Leeds and Manchester United because that's who we support, but Victor Orta, the now sacked director of sport at Leeds United, who has negotiated 7 players who have loan release clauses, who've all left on loan, so no one needs to come into the club. He was sacked at the end of the season by our owner, who's now left as well. But they wanted to appoint Unai Emery. And he wanted to stick with Jesse Marsh. So he basically said that if you don't back me, I'm leaving. So the board buckled and gave him what he wanted. And they stuck with Jesse Marsh. He's got relegated. And Unai goes to Aston Villa and they finish in Europe.
Who knows?
Sliding door moments.
Who knows?
Sliding door moments.
Yeah. All right, that's it, is it?
That's the transfers. Yeah, we've got the rule changes. The next thing, just to get to this, because I've got these broken up on 2 different pages of notes because I'm a mess when I'm writing notes down.
Yeah, go for it.
It's more a case of the interesting bits here are about what's been left out than what's actually been put in terms of the rule changes. So the VAR is the big one this season. The Premier League were offered the opportunity to take FIFA's VAR system that they've used at the World Cup and has also been used in the Champions League as well, which is semi-automated very, very good. It puts that wall up that you see the players just kind of, nudging through, and you go, well, these offside then.
Yeah.
And not the line system. Premier League, given the option to use it, they unanimously rejected the offer when the owners voted on this.
The clubs are allowed to vote in this. It's not the FA just deciding what happens.
No, and it should be said,
pretty democratic.
Premier League as a VAR system across Europe is viewed as probably one of the worst. And
well, certainly last season was a very good indicator of how poor it is.
There's more issues with it than anybody else, and that's the interesting part of it. So they rejected that. The Arsene Wenger new offside rule, which is basically, if any of the attacker's body is level with the defender, you're onside. Any of it.
Absolutely sensible.
So 99% of my body could be offside, but my foot.
Your toenail is in line with because the onus is then on the defender to make sure you're offside.
Yeah.
And they have to make bloody sure, as opposed to just waiting for your fingernail to be ahead of their shoulder.
It's like we're going around in a circle, because that used to be the offside rule.
Yeah.
Unless there's daylight between the two players, you're onside.
Yeah.
That was it. So that's Wenger's solution to fixing VAR offsides. The Premier League have decided not to go with that this season, so that won't be used. I can see that being enforced in a couple of years because it just makes more sense. You get the benefit of the attacker, makes the whole life thing a lot easier. The only toenail argument you're having about is his toenail is actually onside, so he's on.
Yeah,
that's it. Rather than
we want to see goals. I mean, the amount of worldies that got disqualified,
and then the length of time it takes to decide whether he is or isn't offside. Where this is just way easier.
Absolutely,
there'll be the odd one where it's a toenail that's keeping him onside. But the vast majority will be like, well, 60% of his body's onside, so it's fine.
Yeah, so, for sure.
So that's that one. Again, I don't understand why that's happened. What they have kind of compromised in is the Premier League will introduce 4 new cameras to add to the additional 20 cameras that are in the Premier League next season, because they've complained that the issue they had last year wasn't the lines system, was the fact that they didn't have the perfect view that they needed from all angles.
The rules are the issue, not the camera count.
The software and the rules are the issue, not the camera count.
It's bananas.
Yeah,
it's bananas. I don't know how they're going to make this better.
This is when FIFA decided to fix the goal line issue. Instead of putting cameras on the goal line, they put a linesman on the goal line instead, and that was going to fix that.
Remember that they had the two lads like the GAA games, either side of the posts. Just I don't know. So it's bananas.
It's crazy. So that's that data changes. So there will be some VAR issues again next season. So look forward to that.
100%.
Yeah, and there have been some offside changes as well. So up until this season, if I'm a defender and the ball strikes me and you're an attacker and you're 5 yards offside, if it hits me and goes to you, you are onside because the last touch came off the defender. Therefore,
I always wondered that.
Yeah. Not anymore. Gone. So from next season, if a player is clearly offside,
even if the ball comes off the last defender,
it doesn't matter anymore unless it's been what they clarified as a deliberate pass from a defender into that zone. Then you're active.
Like a pass back to the keeper and the player's just kind of goal hanging. Yeah.
If you're goal hanging, they pass the ball to you, you're onside. Go.
Yeah.
However, if someone passes the ball to you, takes the deflection off the defender, and it keeps you onside as a result, that's no longer.
I think United got a goal
a
couple of seasons ago where it just kind of ricocheted off a player. They were offside, and all of a sudden they could go in through on goal.
Yeah. They've done it at an amateur level for a while as an amateur coach, and I've done it. They've done it for a while where it's been, well, no, not unless it's a deliberate action. You're not like.
It makes sense.
But yeah, that's the big one there. Mm-hmm. There's also been some changes to unsporting behavior rules as well. So now, I have to read this a little bit out here. It says, it will not be a yellow card anymore unless a player has made 0 attempts to win the ball. Unless it's an absolute cynical tackle, there won't be a yellow card for it. Right? It'll be.
So it's accidental.
If I make an attempt to win the ball, fine. No card. But
again, completely subjective.
That's they say.
Completely subjective.
The 2 caveats to this are is that it could be debilitating and it is up to the referee's interpretation of the rule.
Again, totally subjective.
Those brackets and that caveat is everything that's wrong with the Premier League rulebook.
That's what they're trying to do. They're trying to alleviate responsibility from referees entirely, so it's not bias. At the end of the day, you have to have someone that's on the pitch that can go, well, in my opinion, X, Y, and Z. Yeah. They try to have all these rules to protect referees from being blamed for bias or for having an incorrect opinion, and it's just going badly. So,
well, you've got this. We talked about this before we came on. There's this constant conversation about the top 6 bias. I don't mean top 6 as in the teams that finished top 6 last year. I mean the historical
top 6. Yeah,
there's data that shows that they have more VAR decisions go in their favor than go in the bottom half teams.
And then I countered, is that because they literally have more VAR incidents because they attack more?
But if you think of it this way, let's say Manchester United have 3 attacking situations where VAR has to get involved.
Yeah.
And let's say they're playing Bournemouth.
Sure.
That becomes 3 defending VAR situations for Bournemouth.
Mm-hmm.
Manchester United are getting the bulk of them correct even if they're split and they're not 100%
in their favor.
Whereas, and then when it happens the other way around, when Bournemouth, let's say, have got 3 of their attacking VAR decisions and they're 3 defensive for Manchester United, now they're going in Manchester United's favor there as well.
Wow. Okay.
And that's what they're saying. Not just Manchester United, top 6.
Yeah.
But it should be said. Yeah. So there is that question mark about whether there is a top 6 bias or not in the Premier League. And that's the problem with that is there might not be. There very well might be no bias at all. But while it's subjective and while it's up to somebody else's interpretation, not just the referee on the pitch, not just the assistants, not just the fourth official, but the guy in Stockley Park as well doing VAR.
Yeah.
There's too many people there that have too many differentiating opinions, which causes the problem.
Yeah.
So if you remove those, all of a sudden, if you make it an automated system that you want to do, if you want to change some stuff, fix the decisions, you're not going to get that next season, unfortunately, in the Premier League. But you'll get to look at it in the Champions League and in the World Cup and the European Championships and go, this is great.
This is how it's done.
The Premier League's an absolute
mess.
Other ones, red card changes, or we should call it the Emi Martinez rule. Goalkeepers can no longer jump around on the goal line, grab crossbars, get into the striker's face. If they do that,
the Emi Martinez rule.
You could be red carded immediately for doing it. So it's because it's massively unsportsmanlike conduct. So basically, if you get involved in it, a red card is possible as well. And also then on red card situations with penalties, we saw the double jeopardy rule come in last year, where if you gave away a penalty, it wasn't an automatic red card because you've already been penalised by getting a penalty. They've changed it again this year. A red card on a penalty is only when there is no attempt to play the ball.
I understand. So you just hack him down when he's through on goal and the ball isn't at his feet.
Okay.
I hated that you lost a player and conceded a penalty.
Yeah.
It was such a cruel way of doing things.
You may end up getting a second yellow for it, though.
Yeah. Well, listen, it's an improvement.
It is, yeah.
It's an improvement, and I welcome that change. So happy days.
The big change that's going to come in next season, if it's enforced, and I still have huge question marks whether I see the Premier League enforcing this correctly, is additional time has changed. So we should see on paper what happened at the World Cup now happen in the Premier League. So basically, if you are celebrating a goal, the referee will stop to watch. That time gets added on to the end.
Fantastic.
So you should see far more stoppages now being added on. You should see 10, 11 minutes of
World Cups, you'd see like 99, 100, 101 minutes of natural time.
Yeah.
I think it's a very important addition.
Well, the stats around that were last season, the Premier League, the ball was in play for 49% of the available game time. So in a 90-minute game, it was in play for less than one half.
Wow.
So you're trying to sell a sport for the amount of money that the Premier League has been sold for globally. You want to see some football. That's going to make things difficult with advertisers and when games should be started and when they should be stopped. I don't know how Sky is going to arrange that. Personally, I don't care. Well, I haven't seen this confirmed yet, but there was a movement from the broadcasters to introduce cameras in the dressing rooms for halftime, like they do in the American sports, and also on the touchline interviews during the game. So a manager hate all of that stuff. I hate it. Here's the issue for me, and this is why I don't think this is not a criticism of American sports, but American sports are built around advertising. Stoppages, timeouts, ball play, it's ad break straight away, right? It's not about the game, it's about the experience. It's huge, it's long. Those things make sense in the NBA, the NFL, and in baseball. They make perfect sense because the game is going on so long. There's so many stoppages. There's timeout. You can go talk to somebody. In the Premier League and in soccer in general, you've got one break, 15 minutes, and that's it. Yeah. I have no issue with a manager maybe coming out after the halftime and doing it. But you've had situations where it's gone badly for a team and the manager's sent the assistant out to do the press conference after the game because he's fuming and doesn't want to see the press. You could be coming in a situation where you've just absolutely roasted your team in the dressing room at halftime and they're coming out and someone's sticking a microphone in your face straight away. I don't think it's fair. I don't think it should happen. It hasn't been confirmed that it will happen, but it has been talked. This manager meltdown has been brought to you by Budweiser. So yeah, it's market to the Jesus out of it. Yeah. That everything? That's it. Okay. Well, listen, thank you very much. Thank you very much for all the updates on the new rules. I'm actually really looking forward to next season, and our next episode is going to be our Premier League predictions. Yeah, short episode, bonus episode. So there'll be 2 episodes out this week as well. Yeah. Also floods the bank content as well, so it gets us a bit more content. Exactly. So and as always, if you do like the channel, if you do like what we're trying to do here, as we've said, over time this will improve. It'll get more cleaner. Everything will improve. We're starting off from scratch here, but it will get better. Trust me. For sure. Yeah, if you like it, you can subscribe, like the video, share it around, let people know about it. That gives us a leg up and gets us moving as well. So as my friend Alex in America says, if you want to feed the YouTube algorithm, give us a thumbs up. Exactly. And give us a subscribe. That'll do that. See you next time. Thank you. Have a great time. Bye.